different speed limits, manual versus automatic transmission, and very different gas prices. All of those things aren't new when it comes to cars in Germany versus America, but even car maintenance is different? That I did not expect. Hello, servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Felicia. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, but have been living here in Cincinnati, Ohio, off and on since 2016. So this is the third episode in my mini-series about random differences between Germany and the US. Make sure to check out the other episodes too. Links are in the info box below. I've already talked about peeing and ice cream, so two totally different topics, and today we'll talk about another very different topic, and that is cars. But not just cars in general, because there would be a lot to talk about regarding cars in Germany, and I've actually done a video on driving differences before. You can find that up here and down here. But this one is going to be about a very specific difference between the two countries that I couldn't really find an explanation for as to why that's different. So during the first 3 years that I spent in the US, it was never permanent. It was always a few months in the US and then a few months in Germany. So it never really made sense for me to get a car, but obviously most of my friends had cars. They actually had to drive me around quite a bit. So even though I didn't own one myself, I noticed something in regards to cars in the US that surprised me. People seem to get oil changes all the time. Like the little light on the dashboard would go on and people would say, "Oh, I need to get an oil change soon." And I'm not a car person at all, so I was like, "Oh, that's a thing?" So I started to pay attention to it more and noticed that a lot of people actually got an oil change every few months. And I also saw car shops advertising their oil change services a lot. At first I just kind of thought, I've never really taken care of a car myself because my dad always did it back in Germany. So I guess this is just something you gotta do when you own a car, and I'm just now finding out about it. But then I actually started asking my friends and family in Germany about it, and it turned out, nope, it wasn't just my ignorance. This really isn't a big thing in Germany. Fact is, in the US, it's traditionally recommended to get an oil change on your car every 3,000 miles or every 3 months, whichever comes first. Especially if you have an older car. I would know because when I finally did get a car with a pretty high mileage, that's what people told me. In the past few years, the official recommendations seem to have changed though, and now it's recommended to get an oil change every 5,000 to 7,500 miles. Well, in Germany, I feel like I don't know anybody who does that. When you Google it, in German, the official recommendation is every 15 to 40,000 kilometers, depending on the car, which is about 9,000 to 25,000 miles. So a much higher number. And it's said that that would be about every 1.5 to 2 years. Not months, years. But I kind of feel like a lot of Germans don't even do it every 2 years. Or maybe whenever your car is at the shop for something else, they just offer to do it then. I'm actually not 100% sure, but I want to say that my car that I had in Germany didn't even have an oil warn light or anything like that. Or it just never lit up, but I had never seen that before I came to the US, and the topic had also never been on my mind really. But as I said, maybe that's just because I'm a total car noob. I'm curious to see if I'm totally off here or not, so to all Germans who have a car, have you ever gotten an oil change? And how often do you get one? Leave me a comment below. Now, of course, I've tried to find answers for this myself. Why do Germans and Americans handle this so differently? Is it because we drive shorter distances in Germany? Is it because we drive different cars? Or does one of the two countries simply do it wrong? And Google actually does have answers, but a lot of different ones, so I'm not sure what's actually true and what isn't. I've read that the oil that's used is different and has different quality. I've read that it's just a strategy of the car industry in the US to make more money and that the frequent oil changes really aren't necessary at all. I've read that it's because Germans don't drive their cars as long as Americans do and therefore don't care as much about good maintenance because we drive less and it's more likely for other parts to break before we even get to the point where the engine would fail, and so on. So this video was really just dedicated to pointing out this difference between Germany and the US that doesn't really make sense to me. And just like for the other topics, I'd like to get your input on this. Do you know a lot about cars and have an explanation for this? Are we just doing it wrong in Germany? And of course, if you're from somewhere that's not Germany or the US, I'd love to hear what it's like in your country. You guys handle it more like Germans or more like Americans? Thank you guys so much for sharing your experiences and thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you enjoy this little mini series. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button if you do like it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for free and activate the little bell to get notified about new uploads. And after you've done all that, all you have to do is lay back and wait for the next Random Differences video in 2 days on Saturday, and there will be one on Sunday as well, so it's gonna be a little weekend double feature covering the topics of male circumcision and how Americans and Germans handle having cats. So I wish you a great rest of your week and I'll see you on the weekend. Tschüss!